Shabbat Shalom and glory and honor and power to Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, the most high and the only real and true God, the creator of the chosen people, Israel, who sent the Redeemer, his son, Mashiach, the prophet, who is also the high priest and who will soon be king of this planet earth. Glory and honor to him forever also. Greetings to the 12 tribes created by Father Yah that, according to the Bible prophecy, have suffered the punishment of being scattered into the four corners of the earth because our fathers worshipped false gods and we were put in slavery. Greetings to the 144,000 among them who are being prepared to stand for Father Yah's cause against Babylon in these last days. And greetings to the Gentiles who the Father has called forth to bear witness to the truth to their cousins of the Hebrew Messiah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and have trusted in the Father's perfect righteousness. Greetings. Greetings to the chat. Azariah, Brother Mark Akmar, Brother Stephen Kelly, Superstar and Family, Only One Way, Brother Naviska, Wife and Children, Chaplain Lewis, Brother Imana Pakas, Gary Joseph, Yashaya, Akawambanya, Isha Shama and husband, Daniel's family, Brother Victor, Brother David and his wife and children in London. Greetings, blessings, and honor to the Most High, and welcome to you. We've been studying Deuteronomy, and today we're in chapter 14. Very important chapter. Deals with, among other things, deals with what we are supposed to eat and not eat. This is one of these areas where the word of the Most High comes in, because in today's society, in terms of knowledge, we are in an information age in terms of knowledge. And unfortunately, in the information age, people start to trust in information that's not biblical to substantiation of beliefs. Hold on one second. In this case, they start to trust in science. Really, what it comes down to, I remember when I was in one of the times I was in college, I studied physics. And physics is the study of nature. And I thought about that and realized that all science really is the study of nature. Nature was created by Father Yah. So basically, science and physics are studying things that were designed by the Creator and trying to learn about what He designed, and oftentimes trying to take credit as man for discovering things that Father designed and made. Father designed and made us in His own image. Father designed and made Israel as His chosen people, named them and called them. And so as that, He gave us a diet. He gave us a list of things not to eat and a list of things to eat. Now, we know that the initial original diet was given to Adam, who was made in the image of Father Yah, in Genesis. And then let's look in Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. Actually, let's start in chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1. And man was made on the 6th day. Man was made on the 6th day. And I'm going to begin in Genesis chapter 1. Oh, let's see. I'm going to begin at verse 26. I'm going to begin at verse 26 of Genesis chapter 1. And the Most High said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So this is the word of the Most High to me. And he said, let us, this plural, let us. The Bible tells us that the Father Yah is above all things. He is the Most High, but he made all things in conjunction with his Son. Because without him was not anything made that was made. So Messiah was there. He certainly wasn't called Jesus Christ at that time. He certainly wasn't even called Yahushua or Yahushua at that time. The first time we see a name for him is he's called Mikael, one like the Most High, or who is like the Most High, Mikael. So he said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And he gave man dominion over the earth. This is the word of the Most High. Now, who controls man controls that dominion. See? So when man gave his homage to Asatan, Asatan is now controlling the earth. Because man gave his right, instead of relying on the Father, he gave it to Asatan. So the Most High made man in his image, and then man turned around and gave homage and power and authority to the devil. And that's why the Messiah called the devil the prince of this world. So did Paul. He called the devil the prince of the power of the air. Okay? Because man gave him dominion. Man still has authority over the animal kingdom on the planet Earth. But that authority is tainted because he put his trust in Asatan. That is why we have pollution. That is why we have greed. That is why we see nature being destroyed, because man gave his authority to Asatan. And Asatan's doctrine, one of his main doctrine, is man is his own God. Okay? But let's go further. Verse 27. So the Most High created man in his own image. In the image of the Most High created he him. Male and female created he them. And the Most High blessed them. And the Most High said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So he told them to be fruitful and to multiply. It would make sense. So in their original sinless state, Adam and Eve were in the image of the Father. They were covered in perfect righteousness and light. So, of course, the Father gives them the ability to make more beings like them, right? So that was the object, to populate the earth with beings full of light and righteousness, beings that gave honor to the Creator. But as I mentioned, early in the process, they dishonored the Creator and joined forces in homage with his enemy. Therefore, the populace of the earth, he did not take away the ability for the earth to be populated, but now it was populated with beings that did not give honor to the Father. It was populated with beings that was thinking they were their own gods. It still is. Let's continue. Verse 29. So now he's given them dominion over the earth. He's created them in his image. And now he's going to give them a dietary law. Let's look at it. Genesis 1, verse 29. And the Most High said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So all edible objects that the Father gave to man to eat had seed in it. Okay. And what would seed do? It would cause more to grow. So in other words, we would call that today sustainability, wouldn't we? So in other words, it's sustaining. So man would eat a fruit, and the seeds of the fruit would pass through him back into the ground, and that seed would germinate into more fruit. And he said herbs would seed, like cucumbers would seed. And there was a time when I took this and decided I'm going to just live on that. I'm going to live on food which seeded it. I was a fruitarian for a number of years. The problem I ended up having is severalfold. Number one, I did not live in an area where the fruit was growing year round. I lived in an area where fruit was being shipped in from other places, which many of you do. See, if I lived in a tropical area where fruit was growing from the local area year round, maybe I could do it, but probably not. But I did it. I was using imported food. And what does that mean? It's not in its natural habitat. It's not in its natural state. It's picked early so it can be transported. It's gassed, all of that, right? So it was hard, and it was expensive. And then I also realized it did not, the food that I was eating today, the fruit that I was eating did not contain the power that the fruit that Adam ate had. The fruit that Adam ate was in a sinless state. There was no pollution on the earth. There were no pesticides. There were no fertilizers. There was none of that stuff that we have today that fruit was growing in. And it had probably hundreds of times more power than what we now. Matter of fact, I found out later, some doctor did a research and found out that an apple from 100 years ago was 10 times more nutritious than an apple bought in a store today. Okay, just the declining power of the fruit itself. And so I realized, as much as I thought it was an ideologically smart thing to do to live on fruit, I couldn't, because it wasn't sustaining me both economically in how it was grown and how it was transported. And then, of course, the power that was in it. Even though I did feel tremendous for a while, living like that, my energy level was off the chart, but I had serious cravings, and I kept caving to the cravings, and it kept messing up my diet. And I was wondering, I was beating myself up, but I was realizing later it wasn't meant for me to eat like that in this day and age, which is where we're going. The Most High knew that, and He gave us a diet that would get us through to the end. But you could also know by this that in the earth made new, in the kingdom, we're going to have fruit. The Bible said 12. In fact, let's take a look at it in Ezekiel chapter 46. Let's go to Brother Zeke, right? Let's go to Brother Zeke. Ezekiel chapter 46. Ezekiel 46. Is it 46 I want? No, 47. Ezekiel 47. Yes, Ezekiel 47. Ezekiel 47. And I'm going to read Ezekiel chapter 47. And I'm going to start at verse, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to start at verse 6. And I'm going to read down to verse 12. Ezekiel 47 from verse 6 to 12. And he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now, when I had returned, behold, at the bank of the river were very many trees, on the one side and on the other. Then said he unto me, These waters issue out toward the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed. And it shall come to pass that everything that liveth, which moveth, whithersoever the rivers shall come, shall live. And there shall be a very great multitude of fish, because these waters shall come hither, for they shall be healed, and everything shall live whither the river cometh. And it shall come to pass that the fishers shall stand upon it from En Gedi even unto Eneglaim, and they shall be a place to spread forth nets, and their fish shall be according to their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceeding many. But the miry places thereof and the marshes thereof shall not be healed, they shall be given to salt. And the river upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat, whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters they issued out of the sanctuary. The fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine. So you're going to have 12 months of different fruits. Every month, fruit's going to be growing on that tree. And the more fruit you pluck from the tree, the more fruit comes forth from the tree. You can never exhaust the tree. See, so we can see in this sense, in this 7 verses that we read, that there's two foods that we see already. We see fish and we see fruit. And the waters are the living waters that come from the sanctuary. Ezekiel being shown the kingdom, and Ezekiel is being shown the river of life that comes from the throne, and the river of life healing everything and making everything have eternal existence, including the tree of life, which is there. Okay, let's compare that to Revelation chapter 22. Revelation chapter 22. Revelation chapter 22, I'm going to begin at verse 1, and I'm going to read verse 1, 2, and 3. Actually, I'm going to read from verse 1 to 4. Okay, Revelation 22 from verse 1 to 4. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Yah and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, there was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. It's the same thing Ezekiel saw, okay? And yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. See, Ezekiel said the fruit shall be for meat or for food, and the leaves for medicine. And he's saying here, the leaves are for healing, okay? And there shall be no more curse. That's no more sin. But the throne of Yah and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. See? So you can see that right there, right? So now you have fruit that's going to be back to its original state. Okay? Back to its original state. And so that was the initial diet that man was given. It was a fruit-based diet. I think you can understand if I say it that way. Some people today, when they name certain diets, like they'll say vegan diet is a plant-based diet, right? Because it's telling you you're mostly eating plants. Well, this is a fruit-based diet. You'll be eating mostly fruit. And the fruit will not be according to what we eat today. It's going to be eternal fruit. It's going to come out every month of the year, a different fruit. And you will never exhaust it, so that the whole earth can be eating of this one big tree, and it will never have run out. And there'll be seeds, right? Praise the Most High. So that was the original diet of man, and we're going to be going back to that. Some people ask me, and I can't explain. See, sometimes you just need to read the word for what it says. It mentioned fishers, and it mentioned eating fish. And some people will say, well, how are we eating fish? I don't know. I just read you what it said. It said fishers. You saw it. It said fishers. It said you're going to spread nets. You're going to have multitude of fish. That's what it said. I'm not going to try to explain why it is. It is what it is. Zeke said it, right, Amanda? Zeke said it. Zeke saw it. That's right. So it just says what it says. And all I'm doing is believing what it says. But we can see there that fruit is a major part of the diet, right? We'll eat the fruit, and you'll never exhaust the fruit. And every month for 12 months a year, there'll be a different fruit. You'll never exhaust it. Now, of course, there'll be more than just the tree of life, obviously, but the tree of life, as long as we're eating that tree, our eternal existence will be perpetuated. That is why Adam and Eve, and just go back to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, I'm going to read from verse 22 down to verse 24 of Genesis chapter 3. After sin entered the earth because of because of Adam and Eve, after sin entered the earth because they wanted to be gods, this is what the Most High's next step was in after giving them clothing made out of animal skin. In Genesis chapter 3, from verse 22 to 24, and Yahweh Most High said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. Now, unless he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever, semicolon. Therefore, Yahweh Most High sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man and placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So he forced man, see, you can see that was the devil's plan. The devil's plan was to cause man to disobey the Father and eat of the tree of life in disobedience, so that disobedience would be eternalized. It would be forever. And therefore, Satan would live forever, and all of his rebellious subjects would live forever. So they would have eaten of the tree of life after they rebelled against the Father. See that? But the Father said, no, that's not going to happen. So he drove. Notice he said he didn't ask him, could you please leave the garden? Can you vacate the garden? No. He drove out with flaming swords of cherubim, Adam and Eve, from the garden, drove them out. And obviously he took the garden away because it's not on the earth anymore. So he took it. But the spot that is on, we read in Deuteronomy, his eye is always on that spot. Right? His eye is always on that spot. So it's coming back. And we see it in Ezekiel and in Revelation. So he drove out the man. That's why man cannot live forever. That's why sin is not going to live forever. And that's why Satan is going to attempt on 2 occasions shortly when Messiah returns. And then after 1,000 years, on 2 occasions, he's going to attempt to attack where the tree of life is located, because if he can get one of his subjects to eat of that tree, eternal existence. Okay, eternal existence. Of course, he will not be successful. The Most High is showing us in his word the whole thing from beginning to end, so we don't have to guess. It tells us what's going to happen, because the Most High, the spirit of prophecy, the testimony of the Messiah is the spirit of prophecy. There we have it. So he's telling us already. So now, but we can know that you and I, as subjects of the kingdom, are going to be able to eat of the tree of life. And our eating of that tree is going to perpetuate our eternal existence. It's built for our eternal health. When Messiah said, I came that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. The abundant life is eternal existence that happens from the Father. First, for us here on the planet Earth, it starts with his spirit. His spirit dwelling in us is abundant life. That's what it means. It doesn't mean, I remember I heard some dumb behind pastor talking about, I work 3 jobs because I'm living the abundant life. Anyway, the abundant life is eternal existence. It's eternal power of living. It comes from Father Yah. Messiah say, I give unto them eternal life. My Father chose them. My Father gives them to me, and I give them eternal life, and no man's able to pluck them out of my Father's hand, and no man's able to pluck them out of my hand. That's the abundant life. Okay, so starts in the spirit, inside us in the spirit, and then when we get to the kingdom, it's going to continue as we continue to live in an existence where there is no death, where there is no rebellion, and of course, we'll be eating of a tree that perpetuates our eternal existence. And we'll be drinking of waters and eating of fish that will perpetuate our eternal existence, so that then you'll be eating healthy, really healthy, okay? Really healthy, praise the Most High, so that we will have bodies and spirits filled with, among other things, power, okay? Real power, okay? Praise the Most High. So now, because of sin, Father Yah made adjustments for his chosen of dying. Okay, he made adjustments. First, at the end of the flood, he told him to eat anything, but then he chose Abraham. He chose Abraham's seed, Isaac. He chose Isaac's seed, Jacob, changed Jacob's name to Israel, and chose his 12 sons, which we are the descendants of. And so we are the descendants of the children of Israel by blood. And so he gave them a particular diet for his choosing for them for these times that will get us through. Now, the food is still corrupted. But today, if you look at it, you look at the entire diet that the Father gave us for these last days of Earth's history until we get back to the kingdom and get the diet that he originally planned for us. The diet is balanced and it has certain rules to it. Okay, it's balanced and it has certain rules to it. So you even hear people in the world today saying, "What, you ever heard this? You should have what? A balanced diet." What does that mean? That means you can't rely on just fruit. You can't rely on just vegetables. You need a balance in your diet. And then he tells you, you need to eat certain things. And if you're going to eat these things, I need you to prepare them a certain way. What? He's saying, I don't want you to eat the blood of any animal that I tell you you can eat. Don't eat the blood. Okay, so as far as possible, if you're cooking it, you get the blood out. And there's ways, it's not hard, brethren. My wife and I, it's not hard. When we get ready to cook a meat, all you got to do really is you could boil the blood out of it. That's what they did in the Bible. They boiled it. You could also soak it. I use apple cider vinegar and water, and you could soak it. Don't even take that long to soak, and you can see the blood come out of it. And then, of course, you make sure you cook it well. And even on the packages today, they're telling you, make sure you cook the food well. Okay. Yeah, see, so you can soak it. I use apple cider vinegar for a lot of things, man. It's been a blessing to us. And so I put the water, mix it with apple cider vinegar. I do it with both fruits and vegetable as well as the meat. Like when I get grapes, I'll put the grapes in a big tub of water with apple cider vinegar. Because y'all know they spray that stuff, right? So I put grapes in a big side, and any fruit that I'm going to eat with skin, I'm going to put it in the water. And I'm going to put apple cider vinegar in water and let it soak in there. It don't have to soak more than a few, maybe 5-10 minutes. And you put it in there. Sometimes I'll leave it in there to soak. Then I'll wash it again with water after. Okay. And I do the same thing with meat. If I'm eating a steak, if I'm eating chicken, whatever I'm eating, I'm going to put apple cider vinegar and water through it, wash it real well. And then I'm going to cook it. Make sure it's cooked thoroughly. So that I'm not eating any blood. I've sent back food at restaurants many times because I asked for stuff well done and I cut into it and see red, and I'll call a waitress and I'll say, "Ma'am, does this look well done to you?" And they'll usually say, "No, sir, I'll take it back." And they'll take it back and make sure it's well cooked. Okay, so that's how you want to make sure your stuff is done. But we're not to eat blood. That's, to me, a lot of the problems of health coming upon our people is because we're eating blood. Okay, we're eating blood. All right, see that? Now, Deuteronomy chapter 14. And a lot of people, for example, let's talk about the beards. A lot of people take it as a command that the Most High said to wear a beard. There is no command in the Bible to wear a beard. He tells you how to handle your beard, and he tells you how to cut it, but it doesn't say you must have one. But many people, I've had people tell me, "Where's your beard, brother?" Like we're supposed to have a beard. We don't need to have a beard. But this is the principle that we're getting ready to read in Deuteronomy 14. This is the principle. The principle is do not copy the practices of the heathen. And let's read Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 1, and let's see what I'm talking about. In Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1, it says, "Ye are the children of Yahweh, your Most High. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead." What does that mean? Apparently, in Egypt and among the heathen, they used to make certain cuttings in their flesh in honor of the dead. And the Father is telling his people, do not do that. Like a tattoo. That's right. In honor of the dead. So he's telling us, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't copy the heathen in their practices. Y'all hear me? So he said the same thing. Don't put cuttings in your flesh and markings for the dead. That's what they used to do, make tattoos and stuff for the dead. And let me ask you, do people do that today? Do people make tattoos for their dead relatives and for the people that they love? Don't they? Yes, they do. And he's telling us, do not do that. Do not do that. See? Okay. So it's a principle of not copying the heathen. That's really what we're dealing with here. You understand that? It's a principle of not copying the heathen. All right? That's really what we're dealing with. Now, listen. Many people have went and got tattoos, especially y'all that come up in the millennial age. You went and got tattoos before you knew this truth. That's just a reminder of where you came from, isn't it? That's a reminder where you came from. So you put these markings in your flesh when you was ignorant and you didn't know any better and you didn't know that it was wrong, right? Well, you did what you did. You understand? You did what you did. You can't take that back. Right? You can't take that back. Okay? All right. Leviticus 19:27. Let's take a look at that if it's related to what we're talking about. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 27. Okay, let's read it. Leviticus 19:27. You ready? Don't read. You want to read the scripture? You ready? Y'all ready? Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm going to read Leviticus 19:27. You ready? This is what it said. Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard. Is that a command to have a beard? Question. Is that a command to have a beard? Is it a command to have a beard? Or is it a command of how to cut your beard? You understand? I'm glad the brother brought it up because this is part of the ignorance I'm talking about. If you read what they're saying, he's not commanding you to have a beard. He's commanding on how you cut it. Why? Because Egyptians cut their heads a certain way. If you look at ancient Egyptian pictures, you ever see the ancient Egyptian pictures on the wall? They would cut their hair a certain way. Why? Because they were honoring false gods. Are you hearing me? When you look at the ancient pictures that they found in the walls in Egyptian tombs, they cut their hair and their beards a certain way. And he's telling you, don't do that. Why? Don't do like the heathen do. That's basically the principle here. He is not commanding you to have a beard. There's a difference. And then look at the next verse. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. Why did he say that? Because that's what the heathen did. And he's telling you, don't be like the heathen. Paul spends a lot of time in the New Testament telling his readers, don't be like your Gentile brethren. Doesn't he do that? Don't be like the other Gentiles. You coming out of that. Don't be like the other Gentiles. What man don't grow a beard? I don't understand that question. I don't grow a beard. I don't need a beard. And the Bible's not telling me to grow one. The Bible never instructs you to grow a beard. Not only that, listen to me carefully. Here, you ready? Y'all can hear me? Here, listen to this. Does not the Bible say in the mouth, what does it look like? Does it look like I shave? Wait a minute. Does the Bible say this? In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Does it say that? Wait, testing 1, 2, 3. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Can you give me 3 witnesses, 2 witnesses that say grow a beard? Can you please give me 2 witnesses that say let's all men must grow beards? Can you give me 2 witnesses? I could already tell you, you cannot. because there's no two witnesses in the Bible that say grow a beard. Okay? Please, again, brethren, please read your Bible. Start at Genesis and go to Revelation. And when you are finished, do it again. You see, this is the thing, brethren. Be wary of things that are superficial and replace superficiality with holiness. Holiness comes from within. To put on a tassel, to grow a beard, anybody could do that. You're not doing anything with that. You understand? So it's about the spirit of righteousness and holiness. Okay? Again, I'm glad we're talking about this, because I'm trying to encourage y'all. Please read your Bible. Read your Bible. Read your Bible. Okay? If the Most High commanded me to have a beard, I would have one. If he wanted that, I would have one. If he commanded me to do it, I would do it. Or as the brother said, if when I shave, I got all kind of bumps on my face, I wouldn't be able to shave. I'd have to have a beard. But these are not commands of the Most High. As a matter of fact, when a Levite priest was to enter into the most holy, he was to shave all the hair off his flesh. So there are instances to shave and not shave. Apparently, at the time, there was men like to grow beards. I think that was part of the style, to be quite honest with you. I think it was a style that the beard growing made a man look like he was a man. That's the way I look at it when I read the Bible. It looked like a beard made a man at least appear like he was a man, that he was a grown man, not a boy, a grown man, right? And so that's, to me, when I read it, that's what it means to shave. It made you be a man. You show that you was a man. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why people shave their hair in distress. Honestly, some people do, and it's irrelevant to what we're talking about here, though. Really is, right? It's irrelevant to what we're talking about. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Let's stick with what we're talking about. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Let's start again at verse 1, but this time let's include verse 2 and 3. Okay? Let's start at verse 1, and this time let's include verse 2 and 3. I don't know about lining up the beard. And like I said, I don't want to go all into it. My point is, we're not commanded to have a beard. And people shouldn't be looking at everybody that everybody should have one. That's all I'm saying. And so he does tell you not to copy Egyptians or heathen in how you do your beard. Didn't tell you that, but it's not about a command to have a beard. Yeah, just don't do as the heathen do. That's right. That's a continual principle throughout the Bible. Don't pray like the heathen pray. Don't dress like the heathens. Don't act like the heathens. Don't practice religious practices that the heathens practice. That's basically the principle that's throughout the Bible. Okay. I don't know. All right, let's go back to Deuteronomy 14. So now we're seeing this. So now Deuteronomy 14 from verses 1 to 3. Ready? Deuteronomy 14 from verses 1 to 3. Ye are the children of Yahweh, your most high. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy most high, and Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. So wait, how many peoples of the earth has the Most High chosen? Has he chosen every nation for himself? How many nations has the Most High chosen? Now, I heard somebody say, I started to watch. It's amazing. Since Kyrie Irving and Kanye have come out and talked about Hebrew Israelites, I have seen more Christians trying to explain what a Hebrew Israelite is than anybody else. And I find it so much hypocrisy. You're not a Hebrew Israelite, so how are you going to explain what a Hebrew Israelite is? And I was expecting, I started to look, I said, okay, this dude had a thumbnail with him with a Bible in his hand. So I said, okay, maybe he's going to get from the Bible. I want to see what he brings. And the first thing he said Hebrew Israelite is more of a religion. Man, more of a religion. So I thought to myself, okay, I can't watch no more. So here, let me ask you all, brethren, is Hebrew Israelite a religion? Why would I turn him off after that? Is Hebrew Israelite a religion? No, it's not a religion. It's not a religion. It's a nation. Exactly. So let's break this down. Let's break this down a little bit. Okay. Is there such a thing as race in the Bible? Does the Bible divide people by race? Is there such a thing in the Bible as race? No. So where did the paradigm, the doctrine, the teaching of race come from? If it's not biblical, where did it come from? Where did race come from? Where do we get race from? That on every application for a job, they ask you, what is your race? Do they not? Have you ever applied for a job? I've applied for many, dozens, hundreds. And they always ask you, what is your race? It came from the children of Japhet because they wanted to establish themselves as superior to every other people on the earth. Am I lying? It came from Europe because the Europeans wanted to establish themselves above all the other peoples of the earth. In fact, we know that Hitler called Aryan people what? The master race. That has been prominent every place we've been scattered as slaves. Okay, they always came with this master race. The black race is inferior for X, Y, and Z reasons. Why do you think the devil has to keep bringing that up like that? Anyway, so where did Hebrew Israelite come from? Where do nations come from? They come from a person. They start with a person. A nation comes from a person. A man starts a nation with his seed. He is the progenitor of a nation. Does that make sense, y'all? Nations come from a man. It starts with a family, and the family expands, and it becomes a nation of people. That's how you have divisions of nations. Okay? Okay, let's get Bible for that. Okay, let's get Bible for that. So that, next time somebody asks you, if some of you are hearing this for the first time, what religion is Hebrew Israelite? You can give them a good answer. It's not a religion. It's a nation. Okay? It's not a religion. All right. Genesis chapter 10, beginning at verse 1. Genesis chapter 10, beginning at verse 1. I'll read from verse 1 to 5. Genesis chapter 10, from verse 1 to 5. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Rephath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, and Kittim, and Dudanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. Did you see that? So they started with Japhet, the children of Japhet, and they became families, they became lands, they became nations. So they're identified by who the father of the nation is. That's Japhet. So that all people that are originating in Europe by bloodline are children from Japhet. Then you have the people that are from the next son, Ham, and we see there in verse 6, and the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. So you have Ham's children became their nations after their families. Okay, let's go down to Shem. In Genesis chapter 10, verse 21, from verse 21, and let's read from verse 21 down to verse 25. Genesis chapter 10, verse 21 to 25. Unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber. He mentions Eber because this is Moses writing. Moses comes from Eber. Eber is the chosen seed. Why? Well, what word comes from Eber? Hebrew. Hebrew comes from Eber. That's why it's mentioned here. Shem, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Ul, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begot Selah, and Selah begot Eber, and unto Eber were two sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. So you had Eber as a father, a progenitor of a group of people called Hebrew. They were Semites and they were Hebrew. So you can see Hebrew is not a religion. It's coming from Eber. Then later, Eber's descendant came to a man named Abraham, who they called Abraham the Hebrew. Then Abraham had a descendant, Isaac. Isaac had a descendant who he named Jacob, who the Most High changed his name to Yasharal or Israel, and their children became the Hebrew children of Israel or Hebrew Israelites, a nation. They had 12 tribes, and they were a nation of people called Hebrew Israelites. Are you guys following me? It is not a religion. It is a nation. And those of us that are coming to this truth today are awakening to the fact that we are descendants of that nation. Therefore, we're called Hebrew Israelites. When a Gentile wants to become one with the God we worship, they get grafted into the Hebrew Israelite nation. The Bible calls it an adoption. They get adopted into the family. Adopted means you're not the bloodline, but we treat you as family. You're not the bloodline, but we treat you as family. You're welcome into the family. That's adoption. So it's not a religion, it's a nation. And the nation, the father of the nation, Eber, and then his Abraham, they worshiped a God called Yah that chose them and called them above all the people of the planet. Back to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Back to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Verse 2. For thou, that is you children of Israel, you children of Eber, the Hebrew, you children of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, you Hebrew Israelite nation, for thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Most High. Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. He didn't say all race of people. He said all the nations that are upon the earth. Nations. Yahweh chose you above all the nations. Why would he do that? Why would he have to do that? Because all nations come from the Father Yah. Don't we all come from Noah? And didn't Noah come from Adam? So everybody comes from Adam. But we are separated by what? Nations. Father allowed that. He has separated us by nations. Nations were founded by some man. You understand? So he separated us by nations. You have different nations of people, but he chose this one nation above all other nations. He said, I've chosen you. We just read it right there. Above all the nations of the earth. Wait, 2 or 3 witnesses. Here we go. 2 or 3 witnesses. Here we go. Amos, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, and Amos. Amos, chapter 3. Amos, chapter 3. Amos chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. Amos chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. What does it say? Amos 3, 1 and 2. Hear this word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, there's a nation, against the whole family, which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. So of all the families, I've only known you. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Why? Because you should know better. I only know you. I only showed myself to you. You should know better. I've only chosen you. Did I make that up? Or did we just read it? So he's choosing a nation of people. Now, the greatness of Father Yah, praise his holy name, Yahweh Shah, by Yahweh Shah, Father Yahweh. The greatness of Father Yahweh is that he told us in his word, not only did he choose us, he's going to scatter us like seeds. He's going to scatter us like the dust of the earth throughout the whole planet. And in his greatness, he's going to keep us and by bloodline call us back to himself because he could do that. That's the greatness of Father Yah. He's going to mingle us in all the nations and then call us back to himself. And that is why we find ourselves here today. We're being called back by the Father, by his Spirit. Because that's the greatness of Father Yah. I said 2 or 3 witnesses. Okay, I'll give you another. There's many. Every prophet has them. But let's go with, I like the Psalms. I like David's witness, the Psalms. Psalms 147. Psalms 147. Okay. Psalm 147, verse 19 and 20. Read this whole psalm when you get a chance. But Psalm 147, verse 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Hallelujah. He hath not dealt so. So any nation made by some man that created a nation, whether it's Japhet or Ham or even Shem of his other children, he has not done so with any nation. It is only Israel. Only Israel. Okay? He's only dealt with one people that way. Okay? Just Israel. So he's telling us he's chosen us above all people. We are not being awakened by accident. This is by design of the eternal Father who has called us forth, and he's bringing us, as his word promised us, he's bringing us forth. One more. It speaks of nations coming from 3 men. There's a difference. It's not 3 nations. It's 3 men coming from, it's 3 men creating children that created nations. That's what we just read. So it said that by Japhet, the Gentile nations, after their families were formed. So that's telling us Japhet is a father to many nations, as is Ham. He's the father of Mizraim, put Canaan, and he's the father of these men. And by him, many nations came. Shem created many nations, but the chosen nation came from one of his grandchildren, Eber. That's the chosen nation, Hebrew. And from Eber, he got deeper and more direct to Abram, the Hebrew, who brought forth the Israelites. So the Hebrew Israelites are his chosen nation above all nations of the planet. Okay, so now Isaiah 41 makes it, again, all the prophets bear witness. So we looked at Moses, we looked at Amos, we looked at David, right? Here's Isaiah, a fourth witness. Isaiah chapter 41. Isaiah chapter 41. I'm going to read from verse 8. I'm going to read verse 8 and 9. Isaiah 41, 8 and 9. So let's make this very clear. Hebrew Israelite is not a religion. Hebrew Israelite is a chosen nation. And to be joined with the Hebrew Israelites means your belief, your faith is telling you this is a chosen nation, and I'm joining this scattered chosen nation. It's not a church in terms of a denomination, a religious denomination. That's not it. It's a chosen nation by bloodline and those that are adopted. Okay. Isaiah 41, 8 and 9. But thou, Israel, art my servant. A nation he's calling his servant. Jacob, whom I have chosen. The seed of Abraham, my friend. The family of Abraham, my friend. Thou, whom I have taken from the ends of the earth and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, thou art my servant. I have chosen thee and not cast thee away. So Hebrew Israelite is a nation that comes from a family that started with Shem through Eber, then Abraham, then Isaac, then Jacob, and father changed Jacob's name to Israel. So you have Hebrew Israelites, a nation of people. That nation has been scattered according to Bible prophecy, which we've already read, and we'll read more as we study in Deuteronomy, scattered into the four corners of the earth because we worshiped other gods aside from the God of our father, Abraham. We were warned against worshiping other gods. All through Deuteronomy, we've been reading, we were warned against worshiping other gods. And we worshiped other gods. And he scattered us into nations that worship other gods. The United States of America is a nation that was created from people of Yafet, that came from Yafet, from Europe, and took over this land and created a nation. And then they allowed other people to come here that came here usually on ships. And eventually in the 20th century, they start showing up at Ellis Island in New York and becoming citizens of this nation. But there's one group of people that weren't coming here voluntarily as citizens of this nation. That is the Hebrew Israelites. They were kidnapped and bought and sold here as slaves to help build this nation. So whenever I hear somebody say, oh, my grandfather came here with nothing and built everything we have and we earned everything we have, y'all should know you built it on our backs because we came here by being kidnapped and we were forced to build this nation for you to get started. And we were never paid for what we did. But it's all good because the Father's going to pay us and you, the God of our nation. He's going to pay us and you. Don't worry. See, well, my family came here. We earned everything we got. That's right. And you're here based on the framework created by kidnapped people that worked for 3 centuries for free. Kidnapped people that work for 3 centuries for free. And the economy of capitalism, it works like this. Somebody wins and somebody loses. That's the way capitalism works. In order for somebody to get rich, somebody's got to get poor. That's how it works. That's just how it is here. And you meet rich people, they can be real nice, but believe me, they didn't get rich by being nice guys. You don't get rich in this country by being nice guys. Okay? Everybody here that's prospering in this economy is prospering on the backs of somebody that was poor. And the whole economy was based on 300 years of free labor. Don't tell me that a nation can't be prosperous if it starts off with 300 years of free labor from 5 million people. And got the nerve to say, lift yourself up by your bootstraps. Got the nerve to say that. I cannot wait until Judgment Day. I'm going to really look forward to that. I'm really going to look forward to that because the Bible says he's going to make the crooked things straight. He's going to bring down the high and lift up the valleys. Means he's going to put everything on the even straight keel. Can't wait to see that. It's coming. For all of the hypocrisy that's out here that created capitalism. Anyway, let's keep going. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy 14. So let's start again at verse 2. He says, thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy most high. Yahweh has chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. Again, it's nations, right? And then he starts off saying, thou, you chosen people, you chosen nation, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. Now, question. Does Jesus dying on the cross change that? Does Jesus dying on the cross change you from being a holy people? Does the Father change his mind and say, okay, I sent Jesus to die on the cross, so you're not my holy people anymore? Is that how this works? You listen to Christians, it is. If you listen to Christians, it is. Or Jesus died on the cross, so the food I told you not to eat because you're my holy people, now you can eat. It's all clean now. But that's what they'll teach you. Let's go to 1 Timothy, because this is one of the, they like to pick and choose verses and to give you one verse, not 2 or 3 witnesses, but one verse, and they'll take this one verse and run with it and make you think, oh, the whole changed. It's all changed now. Look here. 1 Timothy chapter 4. 1 Timothy chapter 4. This is one of these one verse doctrines that Christians use to eat abominable things. Well, you know what? If they're from the nations, go ahead. But not the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Y'all shouldn't just be eating anything because he just told you you are a peculiar people unto himself above all the people of the earth. Don't eat an abominable thing. He's telling you that. Okay. 1 Timothy chapter 4, beginning at verse 1. 1 Timothy chapter 4, beginning at verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So in the let's say latter time, what does it say? I say that in the latter times, are we in the latter times? Yes, we are. According to the Bible, we're in the latter times. All the signs point to the latter times: the rise of the United States, the rise of the beast, the rise of man-made religion, right? The domination on the earth by the United States as prophesied in Revelation chapter 13, the rise of the Catholic Church as prophesied in Ezekiel and Daniel, the rise of Gog and Magog as the dominant nations of people on the planet in the last days, right? So he said, people shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines. Doctrines is teaching. Doctrines of devils. Doctrines is teaching. That's what doctrine means. So let me ask you, are you ready for this question? We just read Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 1, 2, and 3. Is not eating an abominable thing, is that a doctrine of the devil? Here's a question for you. Is not eating an abominable thing a doctrine of the devil? It said, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So seducing spirits, is the Father's spirit a seducing spirit? Is the Father's teaching a doctrine of the devil? Because that's what they're claiming here. Because we just read Deuteronomy 14. And if this is talking about the Father's dietary law, then he just contradicted himself. And the Father does not contradict himself. Let's keep reading. 1 Timothy chapter 4. Verse 2, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. Verse 3, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats which Yah hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. Oh, wait a minute. Does the Father Yah forbid his people from marrying? Here's a question. Does the Father Yah forbid his people from marrying? Does he say you should not get married? Does he say, I don't want you getting married? Does he say that? Well, wait a minute. Is there a religious body that forbids their people from getting married? Is there a religion dominant on the earth today that would tell their leaders, don't get married? You can have sex with boys and little girls, no, but don't get married. And wait, and commanding to abstain from meats. The word meats is food. Commanding to abstain from food which Yah hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. So, how do we know the food that Yah created to be received? How do we know what food he created to be received? That's right. We know by his word. We know by his word. So apparently, the people that are not following his word are going to tell you you shouldn't eat foods that he told you you can eat, or that you shouldn't get married. Wait a minute. Verse 4 and 5. For every creature of Yah is good and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. So does that mean that now, when he say every creature, is he talking about everything on the earth, like pig and shrimp and lobster and crab and octopus and dolphin and shark? Is he talking about every food, every creature? No. If you look up the word creature in the Greek here, every creature, if you look up the word creature, you know what it'll say? Foods. This is what it'll say. Foods that are declared clean by Jewish dietary law. It will say that. Foods that are declared clean by Jewish dietary law. Look it up in the Greek. That's what it'll say. So it's not everything. It's according to the word. And then verse 5 basically backs that up, where it says, for it is sanctified or set apart by the word of Yah and prayer. Okay, how do we know what creatures are set apart by Yah's word? Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy chapter 14. See, the Bible does not contradict itself. But people that have false religions and are using the Bible for their falsehoods will make you believe that it contradicts itself. And how they'll say is that, well, Yah has changed. He's changed it now. No, he don't change. The Father said, I am Yahweh. I change not. You see why people get confused? And look how straightforward this is. When you really read it, please read your Bible. Not just the New Testament. Start in Genesis, go all the way through to Revelation, not just the books of Moses. Read the whole thing. Start in Genesis, go through to Revelation. Read the whole thing. Read the whole thing. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 14. What is sanctified by the word of Yah and prayer? What is sanctified by the word of Yah and prayer? Deuteronomy chapter 14. I'm going to start at verse 3. And go down to verse 7 and 8. Actually, verse 3 to 8, Deuteronomy 14, verse 3 to 8. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which ye shall eat. The ox, I guess we would call that the cow, right? The ox is the cow. That's the cow family, right? The ox, the sheep, and the goat. The ox, the sheep, and the goat. Okay. The hart, that's a deer, and the roebuck, that's also a deer, and the fallow deer. So the deer family, different types of deer: the hart, the roebuck, and the fallow deer, the wild goat, and the pigrard, and the wild ox, and the cameos. And I'm not sure what a cameos is. Don't even ask me. Okay. All right. And every beast that parteth the hoof and cleaveth the cleft into the two claws and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, these ye shall not eat them of them that chew the cud, and of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, the hare, that's a rabbit, the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof. Therefore, they are unclean unto you. So don't eat rabbit. I don't know what a coney is, but don't eat a camel. And the swine, because it divided the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. So no swine. That's pretty. No bacon, no swine bacon, no swine feet, no swine nostril, no swine chitlins, no pig, no ham. Why? Because the Most High said so. It is sanctified by the word of Yah. Verse 9. These ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall ye eat. So whatever fish that has fins and scales. A catfish has fins but has no scales. A dolphin has fins but doesn't have any scales. Therefore, you should not eat them. An octopus has neither fins nor scales. Neither does a crab. Neither does a shrimp. They don't have fins nor scales. We should not be eating them, because why? We are a holy people unto Yahweh our Most High. Okay, thank you, Yakoba. Mountain sheep. Okay, thank you. That's the mountain goat. But we are holy people. So you can eat what? Red snapper, right? You could eat red snapper. You could eat, what else? Porgy, whiting. You could eat salmon. These are clean fish that you can eat, right? As far as the fish, right? So we're talking about salmon. You're talking about mandarin, I think it's called, not mandarin. What is it called? Haddock. You could eat haddock. You could eat red snapper. There's a lot of fish. Red snapper, flounder, trout, mullet. That's right. That's right. So there's a lot of fish you can eat. You don't have to eat crabs, shrimp, lobster. You don't have to eat octopus, shark. But restaurants will serve all that stuff, right? They'll serve all that stuff. Alligator in Florida. I was shocked, not being from here, when I came down here and they serve jerk alligator. I mean, jerk alligator. People eat it. I was like, oh, shoot. But then my wife and I said, well, we shouldn't be surprised. Gator jerky, yeah. We're not supposed to be eating gators. Crayfish. Y'all got the picture. All right, so if it doesn't have fins and scales and it's in the waters, you shouldn't be eating it, okay? Of all clean birds you shall eat. So it tells you all clean birds. So how do you know what clean birds are? They got to be not on this list. That he gives you the list. He said, but these are they of which ye shall not eat: the eagle, the ossifrage, and the osprey, the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind. So all of those that eat, that pick at the dead bodies, once it's done, they come flying in to eat the bones. Don't mess with them. Okay, so turkey and chicken is fine. Every raven after his kind. You don't eat the raven. Anything after the raven's family, you don't eat it. You don't eat an eagle, the owl, the nighthawk, the cuckow, the hawk after his kind, the little owl, the great owl, the swan, the pelican, the gear eagle, the cormorant. You don't eat anything like that. That's after their kind. Okay? The stork, the heron after her kind, the lapwing in the back. You don't eat that. And every creeping thing that flieth is unclean unto you, but they shall not be eaten. But of all clean fowls ye shall eat. Now, There are insects you can eat. You can eat a locust after their kind. You can. You can eat a grasshopper after its kind. Do you know in some countries they sell that stuff? They sell grasshoppers and locusts. We was in Mexico. They was selling that stuff, man, different flavors, spicy, whatever. My wife couldn't believe it. I said, all right, since we can eat, let me taste it. It actually tastes pretty good. Then she tried to say she wasn't going to kiss me because I ate it. Of course, you know I forced a kiss on. She said, I'm not kissing you after I ate that. I said, I bet you are. We had fun with that one. But they served it. It was grasshoppers and locusts. They served it, man. They sure enough did. So here is a list of foods along with in Leviticus that is sanctified by the word of Yah and prayer. Can we say yes? It was these foods are sanctified. It's not everything, but things that he told us to eat. These are things that are part of what we say, brethren, a balanced diet. A balanced diet. These are part of a balanced diet. So you have your vegetables, you have your fruits, right? Okay, you have certain grains. We can't even eat grains these days. The way Monsanto done messed the grains up. My wife and I don't even eat grains anymore. We can't have no bread. It's messed us up. Okay, but we are now understanding what we can eat. And this is a process, brethren. Don't worry, it's a process. All of us go through a process of learning, right? So we all learn. So you read the word and you start to learn things. And what we always say, you learn and then you what? You unlearn. You learn and you unlearn. Learning and unlearning are part of growth, brethren. Part of growth and knowledge of the word. Keep growing. Learning and unlearning. Okay, learning and unlearning. So Leviticus chapter 11 also has, with the Levitical priesthood, it also has a list of the same list. It's some, slight differences, but it has the list of foods that are clean and unclean. Okay, so it tells you the same, pretty much the same list. There's just a slight, way that they word it a little differently. And then in verse 21 of Leviticus 11, it says, Yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above the feet to leap with upon earth. Even these of them ye may eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. It tells you can eat them. And in Mexico, I can't speak of all the nations, but in Mexico, they sell that on every corner, man. Like in New York, the way they sell bagels on every corner, or they sell knish. In Mexico, they sell these creeping things. They sell the spicy ones. They sell the ones with different flavors. And they're cheap, too, because they come in a bunch. So anyway, yeah. I know in the American culture, it's difficult to comprehend, but I ate the locust. I found it tasty after they finished frying it up. They fry that baby up. They put it in the bag for you like popcorn. Hey, I ate it. It tasted good to me. It's almost pure protein. It's protein, man. That's protein. That's protein. Anyway, having fun with y'all today. So anyway, we'll be back. That's right, locust and wild honey. There you go. We'll be back. I'm probably gonna come back about 1:45, I guess, about 1:45, and we'll do part 2 of Deuteronomy chapter 14. Yeah, we're going to have to, right? That's right. So these are dietary laws. These are foods sanctified by the word of Yah and prayer that he told us we could eat. And he told us how. Don't eat the blood. And we're going to read more about that as we continue in Deuteronomy 14. Okay. Until then, may the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.